edition of Yojana, we would be talking about ease of doing business. So, Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Act, which has been brought in 2023, has brought in ease of living and ease of doing business, decriminalization of minor offences, and severe criminal consequences for major offences or procedural defaults. So, various acts we have seen that their penalty has been changed. For example, Indian Forest Act, tribals and villagers who unknowingly went with their cattle in the forest area used to have good fines. Now that has been reduced, and the deterrence can be achieved by only giving a penalty of 500. Similarly, for Motor Vehicle Act, if the offence requires driving regulation violations or obstruction of free flow of traffic or false registration, then the fines have been incurred, which have been compounded than previously. Legal Metrological Act talks about false information to the controllers, directors under the act, and this could lead to imprisonment up to 6 months for any kind of offence. For environment, we have imprisonment up to 5 years under original section 15. There have been various aspects, for example, exceeding the environmental pollutant standards or mishandling the hazardous information. So for all those, we need to have a clear focus on to, and there have been serious compensations which have been given for the crimes, and they have been compoundable even. For the food safety, again we have distribution of unsafe food under section 59 of the Food Safety Act 2006. There have been, if it has an immediate risk on the health, then the fines have been taken into account. Now if the violations are not severe under the Collection of Statistics Act, then the criminal provisions have been removed from that section. For the pharmacy, if an unregistered person dispenses the medicine, then it has been punishable by fine and imprisonment up to 6 months upon subsequent convictions. Legal Metrological we already talked about. Then Indian Post Office Act, minor violations have been changed to punishable with imprisonment up to 1 month, 6 months and 1 yearly based on the circumstances. So there are various factors or circumstances of the Vishwas Act which has been brought, but the idea is to reduce the complication of the business, ease of living and ease of doing business. There have been various challenges which have been faced with coordination, which talks about meticulous planning, clear communication, the diverse perspective and advanced planning for various aspects. Now challenges in the bill presentation to the committee, this talks about the joint parliamentary committee which has been brought with 6 general recommendations, and this talks about incorporating the adjunct mechanism for following up the same. Now the complexities of managing a comprehensive legislation focuses on 3 important things: a careful navigation of all the complexities, understanding the principles and abiding by those principles, and a commitment to actually have consistency across those. Then the impact of Vishwas Act on cases pendency has been important. It talks about rationalizing the laws, eliminating the barriers and bringing in more growth in the region. The enforcement authorities have been strict. The idea is to simplify the regulatory framework, to align it with the global trends, have a fine for or a penalty to the executive authority and exempt certain things. Important suggestions could be given. For example, under section 252 of the CPC, in cases of minor offences, if accused is pleaded guilty, the magistrate holds the discretionary power to impose imprisonment or a fine. So that's the way for minor infractions the cases have been redrawn. Now for labour codes, if the violations have been done, then the imprisonment up to 1 month or fine or both could be imparted. There have been section 182 of the Companies Act, where companies cannot contribute to the political parties unless and until the board meeting actually passes the resolution. So that's again an important development. Then Water Pollution and Prevention Act, under section 41 of the Act, the idea is to have imprisonment up to 3 months and a fine which could be implemented up to 10,000 if you adhere to fail to the directives for information regarding discharge or construction. And this has been similar for the Electricity Act under section 146, which talks about punishment for 3 months, fine of 1 lakh or both the offences, which focuses on violation of the act, or violations may face any kind of penalties. So right formatting is required. Even for any amendments which have been brought, it is required that there has to be a tabular detailed format with short titles, act number and amendments that has to be mentioned. Now the draft clause has to be saved, and then the penalties would be imposed accordingly. The next is India's relationship with other nations. So 4 C's are important. The worldwide stress is on 4 C's. One is COVID, climate change, conflict, and cost of living increasing across the globe, that is rising inflation. Now all these stress and pressures have been burgeoning on the various political and socio-economic scenarios of most of the nations, and under the G77 we talk about an important voice from global south and NAM nations. So south-south collaboration and triangular collaboration becomes important. Under south-south we focuses on 85% of the less developed countries which are classified as commodity dependent, falling in the regions of south, the global south that we talk, and this is a single basket of export for most of the commodities, where African countries are mainly the dependent nations. Now huge investments have been flowing in the brownfield projects, with 70% moving into Mauritius alone. Similarly, we have IIT being established at Addis Ababa. There is a strengthening of the value chain. Pan-Asia network, Pan-Africa network have been established. Then G7 peer learning as a central figure. F2F cooperation has been given. Even for South-South cooperation, we focus on finance, human resource, knowledge, technology and sustainability. Then under government e-marketplace, there has been a leading digital wave. Public procurement amounted to 20 to 25% of the GDP, and there have been various scenarios. For example, eGem, Government e-marketplace. Now this is a special purpose vehicle under Section 8 of the Companies Act, where we bring in or align the various development, corruption-free governance and ease of doing business, and this facilitates nearly 60,000 crores in public expenditure. South Korea's CONEP and Singapore's EasyBiz are various metrics that we follow to achieve this public procurement. Now for the ease of doing business, we talk about easy registration system, contract management, various buying modes, transparent system, digital aspects, bringing in price reasonability, price stability, visibility of information. Now for bringing in filming and developing India as a center where film industry can grow, J visas have been allowed to those who want to film or shoot in India. So Film Facilitation Office have been collaborating with Invest India to bring in investments into India, to bring in various movies and projects into India. For example, Tenant Extraction, London Has Fallen are some of the examples that have been brought, and these actually help in development of those areas. Now the next is working for granting the film visas. What should be the ideas of the nodal officer and how they could be earmarked. The ranking systems and statistics, under this the various projects from the various countries have been brought. The film shooting projects with direct facilitation has been done. There are various important features for the shooting, which includes facilitation of the visa services, online approval, single window system that could be brought. Similarly, integrating the various permissions with other aspects have been important, and this actually helps in development of the various portals. So those are some of the important aspects. And then finally we talk about the decriminalization of the Cable Television Networks Act 1995, and this brings in more business friendly and better investing options for this sector under the Vishwas Act. GST, we have seen an increased collection from 67 lakhs to 1.4 crore, which is a really big figure, and this focuses on bringing in better compliance, free flow of goods, bringing in uniform rate systems, and creating one economy pan-India with Make in India initiatives, free flow of goods and services across states, and this would actually help in easy integration of ease of doing business. Decriminalization is another aspect under Jan Vishwas program, and this focuses mainly on the severity of the designated punishments which are there. Various offences, minor, technical or procedural, which were having harsh penalties before, they have now been brought under decriminalized category to bring in easy businesses in India. And we have seen many of the acts that we discussed about above previously. So those have threefold approaches, which basically talk about target approach, group recommendation, and central acts. And then to simplify the business, single window permit system, bringing in easy utilities, reducing the compliance requirements, and digital platform for filing of the taxes are some of the ways through which we can boost this system further. And then last one important thing is the tele-law. This talks about information and communication technology, which could be brought for various aspects, and this would ultimately be beneficial for actually having a common platform for various aspects, and this could have a better respect. Okay.